consciousness does not require a savior, but rather, raw consciousness requires only knowledge of oneself and the power to access it. Remember this, as we unlock an even greater gnosis from beyond the veil.
From the Pacific Northwest, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation, around the world. I'm Chris Gio. I will be taking you beyond the veil this evening. I'm joined, of course, by my lovely wife and co-pilot, Mrs. Gio.
Good evening, everyone.
And tonight, Brent Thomas is joining us via the paranormal portal. We're going to get into electronic voice phenomena. We're going to get into all things that go bump in the night. Now, the show tonight is titled Things That Go Grump in the Night because Cherie is joining us tonight.
Hey.
What do you think about that, Mrs. Gio?
More like things that go insomniac in the night, because we are on a completely separate sleeping schedule right now, where I'm sleeping like until noon, and then he's sleeping from like 6 p.m. until like 4 in the morning. So we barely ever even see each other like this last week. So
yeah, that's true. I had a good nap today, and
yeah, you did.
I think I might be the only one, unless Brent does the same thing as I do, which is get up ass early in the morning at like 4:30 in the morning, work until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then crash until about 5 or 6. That seems to be my repetition here. I need to break this cycle, though. There's something going on, but I know one thing for sure. I need to be awake around the middle of the night, because things do definitely go bump in the night.
Yes, they do, especially this time of year. As you know, they say that it's supposed to be like the Christmas season. Everybody's supposed to be jolly and everything. But I've always found the time around the winter solstice, like from the time of Halloween up until the winter solstice, that's like the darkest time of the year for me. And it's the creepiest time of year too. It's not just Halloween. It like stretches on. And I think even our ancestors knew this, and that's why they encouraged us to always be like somber and, you know, not sorrowful, just somber and serious around this time of year, because things really do get kind of creepy and weird things happen around this time of year. So
I wonder why that is. I guess we'll have to check in with Brent Thomas from the paranormal portal to find out. We have some really creepy EVPs for you. Now, I know some of our listeners are overseas and it's the middle of the day for you. I'm sorry that this doesn't have the same impact, but it is midnight here and the energies are really riled up right now. They're ready to go. We've had a few interesting things going on here in this house. And a few people have noticed a presence and being tapped on the shoulder right here. And we haven't told them anything about it. I've talked about it before, so I don't want to be redundant. But we have experienced some interesting paranormal activity.
Yeah, we have. It's kind of slowed down up until this, like ever since we got back from Egypt. But before that, we had two separate people who didn't even know each other, had no experience with each other, even meeting each other. And within like 6 months apart from each other, coming over to our house and then saying, there is something in this house, and it tapped me on the shoulder. Or I was sleeping, like your sister came over and she said, while I was sleeping, something came and it started opening and closing the cupboard doors. You know, just weird things like that. And so, yeah, I definitely believe in that kind of thing. And I think a lot of our listeners probably do too.
Opening and closing the cabinet doors. As a matter of fact, Lewis commented on Facebook that he had poltergeist activity earlier in the week.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, I've got some poltergeist activity going on my camera. For some reason, it's shifting out of focus, even though the autofocus is turned off. So we'll see if we can get that situated. But Brent Thomas, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you for joining us live from the Paranormal Portal. As you can tell, we pulled a little bit of inspiration from you. We were there in studio with you the other day, and it was freaking awesome. So we decided we'll do a little better lighting over here and really set the mood for tonight's show.
Oh, it looks great. I love that lighting that you got cooking there. That's really cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well,
really cool.
Can you tell the listeners about electronic voice phenomenon? What is it exactly? I'm familiar with it. I think a lot of people are. But how would Brent Thomas explain this phenomenon?
Well, the idea is that spirits, and here's the thing, is that we as human beings, we have a specific range of both audible frequency and light frequency that we're able to perceive with our physical senses. Now, to us, we consider that that is reality. And we don't consider the fact that there is light spectrum both above and beneath and within our range that we cannot perceive. And the same goes for audio spectrum as well. There's sounds above and below the frequency range that we are able to pick up with our ears. And so the idea behind electronic voice phenomenon is that perhaps our ears aren't able to register a lot of these sounds and voices, but the electromagnetic dynamic mic and the way that microphones work, they do pick up a broader range than our ears, and so it's able to record that onto some kind of media so we can replay it and make it audible for us.
You know, I suspect that the analog cameras used to be able to pick up a lot more. And that was one of the reasons for switching to digital, because you look at photos from before and there's a lot more unexplained phenomena going on. The flip side to that is the film technology that they were using. Sometimes things can be overlapped on top of one another. I'm sure you've seen this photo of this family, and it was from like the 30s, 40s, maybe 50s. They're sitting in the dining room, and there's what looks like a body that's hanging from the ceiling. Are you familiar with this picture?
Yeah, I am. And in fact, that was supposed to be a holiday picture of a family. And for some reason, there's this weird body that allegedly was not there at the time the photo was taken, but it appeared on film. And it's upside down, of all things. And according to what people have explained, it doesn't, I mean, there's no way that it could be where it is. There's nothing that this person could be hanging onto or putting his legs over. It's just a wall. So the fact that it there.
Well, and the way it's blurred makes it's almost like it's an echo of something that happened there a long time before. You know, like it's I truly believe that when somebody does something as drastic as like commit suicide, or if they're murdered in a home, I think it resonates throughout time and puts like a, you know, how whenever we're making a video on and we're editing it on YouTube, there's like these time markers, and it places a marker there forever. And
that's a good point.
Yeah, and so it echoes anytime somebody takes a picture. It's not just taking the picture of that time, it's taking a picture of everything drastic that's happened in that particular location inside of the matrix ever.
Right. Well, according to this, it's the Cooper family falling body photo. The story goes that sometime in the 1950s, the Cooper family of Texas bought an old house and moved into it. On the first night there, the father took a picture of mom and grandma posing with the two kids at the dining room table. Everyone was happy and smiling. They were living the American dream. But when the photo was subsequently developed, they saw, to their horror, that what looked like a body falling or hanging from the ceiling had materialized behind them. It hadn't been there when the father took the picture. So where had it come from? Was it an apparition of a deceased former tenant of the house? No one knows. Now, one of the ways to explain this, Brent, is with the analog photos, the analog film, I should say. So the film overlaps on top of the other photo, the photo that was taken before, and the two photos kind of merge together. That is some hypothesis out there. What do you think about that possibility?
I think that's a real big stretch because of the crispness and how present that image is in that frame, that I would find it really hard to believe. There would have to be a light leak in the camera that would have exposed the negative or the raw film within the roll for that to impress so completely on the other frame. If it was just a wisp of a figure, that's possible, but that is definitely I mean, it has like dimension to it, so that to me doesn't stand up to reason.
This may not be paranormal here, but I've got a couple of different photos here. I don't know how well you can see that on your screen, Brent, but this says a man named Gregor Spory took this photo in 1985 while he was on a trip to Egypt. There he met a grave robber who had with him a 15-inch long mummified finger. Whoever it belonged to had to be at least 12 feet. Now, this is the one that I really wanted to ask your opinion about. A man named Jim Templeton took this photo of his daughter one afternoon while they were out for a walk. There was no one else in the area at the time, but when the photo was developed, Jim noticed what appeared to be a spaceman peeking out from behind his daughter's head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the more popular ghost or at least paranormal photos out there. Allegedly, that was actually tested. The negatives were tested by Kodak, and they didn't find any proof of any tampering. As far as I know, that has never been debunked. That it is exactly as the person captured it. There doesn't seem to be any ready explanation for what that was. There's a lot of theories out there of debunkers, attacking that photo, but as far as I understand it, it's never been successfully debunked.
That is interesting because it makes you wonder, is this a time travel? Is this a space person? What is that exactly? But again, I go back to the idea that maybe it's two pictures overlapping on top of one another, but you're right. That can't possibly happen. I mean, maybe it can. I guess when the photo's taken and it goes back into the roll, and as it's back in the roll, they're touching each other. And could it be maybe the camera was hot or something and then overlapped on top? Or maybe you take pictures rapidly and the photos start merging with one another. I'm just trying to think outside of the box here, or maybe inside of the box, in a conventional type of box before jumping to the paranormal conclusion. But there's one thing for sure. There is something strange going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, as I understand it, and having studied photography in college, you do need a light exposure for those old film cameras. They're not like in a wet state. They are, they're in a dry state in the roll, but it's the light exposure that creates the image on there. And so for them to just by virtue of just sitting on top of each other to impress one image onto another would require some kind of a light source within that roll. And that's why I don't know that could be, but I mean, is it possible? It's not real sure. It sure is, but at least it's pretty fantastic. And the thing with the paranormal that I really love is that, it's not when things go sideways. It's not when reality hiccups. What it is to me is it's the breadcrumbs of demonstrating the fantastic dynamic nature of what we understand as reality, and the fact that it's more fluid. It's dynamic and changing, and it's in motion. And perhaps we are the motion that creates the flux or whatever, but I just think it's incredibly profound, and perhaps they are the breadcrumbs. People see ghosts because they need to be shook out of a paradigm that, if maybe there's a higher meaning for it from possibly ourselves, from our greater consciousness, that we have to shock ourselves out of our paradigm, or at least to challenge the paradigm.
Maybe. Mrs. Gio, what do you think?
I think that you said earlier in the broadcast that we have an amazing sense of senses, that our physical senses can sense all this stuff, and I think it's more of it's not the physical that's sensing it, it's our intuition, and it's something below the surface that we can't really put a finger on, but we know is there. Like when those people were at our house and they felt that presence, that wasn't exactly something that it wasn't so much something that they could see or something they could feel, as much as it was something they could sense. And with a more of a sixth sense, like the movie about the little boy, The Sixth Sense, where the little boy can see dead people.
Right.
Most people can sense dead people around them, but they can't see them. So, yeah.
Very. And I think that's really powerful. And that's exactly right. We are energetic beings at our core, underneath all of this physicality. We are frequency, we are light, we are vibration. And, it's just our bodies have these receptors to trigger things for our energetic selves. But you're right. We have more senses and more ability than traditional science would suggest.
Good point. I want to get into the EVPs here in just a moment, but there were a couple of other photos, like this one here. In 1975, a couple named Diane and Peter Berthelot were visiting the Worstead Church in Norfolk, England, when Peter snapped this photo of his wife sitting in a pew praying. After the photo was developed, Peter noticed a ghostly white figure sitting right behind her. A local vicar told them it was the ghost of a healer who was supposedly haunting the church.
Yeah, that's an amazing photo, and I've seen that many times, and I think it's absolutely brilliant, because just the luminosity of that figure, as how it stands out, it creates light on the bench it's sitting on. If you look at the bench, the backrest behind that entity, it is projecting light onto the wood surface, whereas the woman sitting in front of it, it's just the same tone all the way through. And in fact, there's a shadow behind her, just right behind her back. But the entity behind there is projecting light. And I think that is an incredible photo.
That is true. That is true. What I'm thinking again is I'm using my skeptical mind to think of the pictures merging on top of one another. And what I'm noticing is the nose structure, the hair structure, the ear structure. It seems pretty similar to the woman herself. Even the clothes that are being worn right there. You've got this area here, which is like this, and then the pants area here, and no feet. Could it be a photographic anomaly on a technical level, or do you think it's paranormal?
And that's just the thing. I mean, there, even back during film camera days, there were trickeries. There was double exposures. There were Lightroom tricks to reproject an image and stuff. But again, could it be? Sure. Anything can be faked if somebody's willing to give it enough time and energy. They can make incredibly convincing fakes. But just on its face, and if the story that those people are presenting as what had happened is at all accurate, then I don't see how this could be a clumsy accident. That it could be done, but it could be professionally done. Sure.
I don't think it's a purposeful fake. I was thinking more along the lines of an accident. But if the chances of it being an accident are small, then I think we have a paranormal photo here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a real compelling piece of evidence. Not having the negatives, not having the ability to check the scene that it was done in, and not having the ability to interview the people present and any other people that might have information. You're kind of left with anything that you find online with, does it look plausible? Is it plausible at all? Well, if you don't believe in the paranormal, then absolutely it's not plausible, and there's no way to convince people otherwise. But if you do, then you just look for what could potentially be obvious points of trickery and fakery, and you go from there. And oftentimes you're just left with a gut instinct. Do I think it could be true or not? But proper investigation would be to interview the people, to look at the camera, do test shots in that same setting at the same time of day, to try to duplicate the scene as much as you can, to look at any kind of naturally occurring anomalies that could be creating a separate image. But without having the ability to do those things, it's just kind of a speculation game. But I think it's a pretty impressive picture. That is, but you're right.
No, that's very true. In order to say something is 100%, you have to have 2-3 cameras going at the same time, and all of them pick it up. Mm-hmm. Rather than just one camera. So let me see if there's any more photos before we get to the EVPs here. This is just stuff I just pulled up randomly. For the past 13,000 years, a mysterious dark object has been orbiting Earth, dubbed the Black Knight satellite. No one knows how it got there. I don't see the pictures of the Black Knight. Oh, here's the Black Knight satellite right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty well-known legend in the UFO lore.
Oh, this is what I was looking at. Okay, this photo is of unusual lights called the Naga lights. Was taken over the Mekong River in Vietnam, and it baffles scientists all over the world. The red lights appear to shoot out of the water and disappear hundreds of feet back into the sky.
Yeah, I've heard of those referenced. I don't know a lot of the backstory behind it, but of course the Naga are a legendary serpent people that live in the waterways, and um, I don't know that they shot fire out of their mouths or not, or if there's any legendary basis for that anomaly. But spirit lights are real common. It's a real common phenomenon in both spirituality and paranormal research and in UFO research. To see orbs is not unusual. These do look kind of, not so much translucent. If this image is indeed, legitimate, it looks like it could be something. Spirit orbs is um, a really cool research topic for a lot of paranormal researchers, because they're witnessed everywhere around the world. They're witnessed in mountain ranges. You've heard the stories of the ghost lanterns, where it's the ghost of the old conductor carrying his old lantern going through the forest, and things like that. Well, those things are observed and have been filmed many times, moving what would appear to be intelligently, but nobody can seem to figure out what they are, and it is an anomaly. And in fact, on my show tonight, I was talking about some spirit orbs that were observed and I think it was a UFO or paranormal research group. I don't remember which, but they were filming a forest valley. And the really cool part is they were using Generation 1 night vision. And on Generation 1 night vision, everything you see is in a green tint, because that's all those sensors can portray the image as. So it's basically like black and white, but it's in green hues. They caught this legendary light appearing in the forest below them. But the interesting thing was,
what is it called?
And I don't recall. It's one of the things that I observed long ago, but it was on one of the paranormal TV shows, and I researched it after that point, but I don't remember where it was. But the cool thing about it, and I did see the footage a couple times, is that the footage on the infrared camera shows that light anomaly going through the forest below, but it's blue. And even the manufacturers of the night vision equipment can't explain how that could be blue on that sensor, which should only be depicting green hues.
Interesting. Well,
right.
What's interesting about this anomaly here is that it actually moves. So it's not like orbs caught on still photos, but these come up and down and dive into the water. Now, I know that the Chinese, they let off these flying lantern type things, and they were letting them off here during the 4th of July, and it's the first time I actually saw them. And I was like, what is that? What is that? And we got our cameras and everything, and then we figured out, because before we jumped to any conclusions, we did our diligent research, that they were actually launching those Chinese lanterns. I wonder if this could be the same thing, but I don't think so. Not with all the...
Yeah, all the spectators. They would have probably observed somebody doing that. Again, you're right. That certainly could be an explanation for some of the sightings. But if they're coming out of the water, as it said in that article, and going back in, it sounds like like a UFO kind of thing, right? Because UFOs are often observed going into water and coming out of water as well.
That's true. Now, what I have on the screen playing right now is footage from Marfa, Texas, which is very similar to the photo that we were just looking at. And this is the Marfa lights. You can go down there almost on a nightly basis, and these lights just light up. They have no source. They move around, and you try to get to them, and they seem to disappear the closer you get to them. Have you heard about this phenomenon?
That does sound familiar. I'm sure I've heard of it. But there are so many of these phenomena all around the globe, and it's an amazing thing. And I a lot of people speculate they could be plasma balls, as a result of what the hell am I trying to say?
Geoengineering?
Not geoengineering, but
geomancy.
Earth. Yeah,
we get blamed for everything, so you just stick geo in front of anything, and we're at fault.
Why am I not? I can't. It's weird. I lost that word totally. It just left my head. But it has origins in the crust of the Earth, that they believe it releases these plasma balls that can go up into the atmosphere and move around, and and then they dissipate. But
Cherie's giggling every time you say plasma balls. We're like 12 years old in our minds.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a pretty incredible phenomenon, and I don't know, I don't know what to make of those kind of things, but I guess I kind of believe that if they are indeed spiritual based, and there's a lot of people that believe they are, then maybe there's some kind of nature spirits or elementals that could be still roaming around.
Interesting. So a couple of more photos before we get to the EVPs. This one isn't paranormal. It's just creepy, and figured I'd share it with the audience. Between the years 1970 and 1973, a serial killer named Dean Corll, also called the Candyman, abducted, raped, and tortured and killed 28 young boys. In 2012, 40 years after the crimes took place, this photo of a young handcuffed boy was found on one of Corll's accomplices. To the horror of police, the boy in the picture was not one of the 28 known victims.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah. But you know what's weird? This person seems to be smiling.
Oh.
Maybe they were forced to smile.
Yeah, probably didn't have a whole lot of choice of anything in those situations. That's so heartbreaking.
That's so sad.
Well, it's interesting because in the 70s, this is veering a little bit off paranormal here, but in the 70s, there was a lot of serial killers. And I remember growing up watching all the serial killer documentaries, thinking that serial killers were like a very real thing I was going to have to contend with as an adult. And it seemed to like die away. And I wonder if it had to do with some kind of MK Ultra program. I remember Popeye of Down the Rabbit Hole, he did some research and realized that all of these serial killers were in the same place at some time in their life. So they were all in the same location, not at the same time, but at the same, but they were in the same location at least once in their life. So I wonder if it's some kind of government programming or something.
God, that'd be horrible, wouldn't it?
Yeah. The other theory is that these serial killers, they're not real, or they're working for like a network, like that Mark Dutroux guy, but that the CIA will use the excuse of serial killers to off people. So they off people, throw their bodies, someone that was a victim of a serial killer, and it was just kind of a cover up. There really was no serial killer. It was all executions.
Oh, yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, I guess.
Oh, here's one up your alley, Brent. In 2000, an anonymous woman from Sarasota County, Florida, snapped this photo and sent it to the local sheriff's office. She included a note that claimed it was the mysterious skunk ape creature. No one has ever been able to determine what it actually is.
Yeah, that's a really popular photo in the Bigfoot world. But the story is that basically she was noticing, or she was kept losing apples from her apple tree or something like that, and this one day she just went out and happened to have her camera, and she noticed this thing there, snapped the pictures. Now, as I understand it, the foliage that it's hiding behind is at least about 6 feet tall. So if you use that for scale on the one right in front of it, then how big could this thing be? It does kind of resemble orangutan on some of the features, but it does have longer legs. There's a bigger, longer version of this photo out there that seems to show the full body a little more. But this is a fantastic catch, and allegedly the lady that took it just basically brought it to the law enforcement and said, take care of this, and doesn't want anything to do with it, doesn't want to be attached to it, and has remained anonymous.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Cryptozoology is pretty fascinating.
It is.
That almost looks cute, except for the fangs. What do you think, sweetie? Do you want one of those?
No, God, no.
Do you want a little Anubis kitty like Brent has?
Oh, yes. I'd rather have an Anubis kitty than
Brent
one of those.
has the coolest little black kitty.
He's so
freaking
chill.
Awesome. He's chilled. I was picking him up. I was holding him. He didn't scratch. He didn't bite.
Nope.
He was just like chilled.
He's just chill,
hanging out. That's the kind of kitty I want.
That's the kind of cat I want.
Usually they
black
bite me,
too.
they scratch me.
Love black
assholes.
cats. Black cats are the best too.
He is, yeah. He's plenty aloof, though. I mean, he's not a snuggly cat. Like, he'll come up to get a quick pet or two, and then he'll be off and moving again. It's like, yeah, I'm good now. And then he'll take off. So he's not kind of like lay around and snuggle in your lap for an hour kind of cat. He's just kind of visits for a little affection, then he's busy again.
One more interesting one here. I don't know how much validity I give to this one because I don't trust anything that comes out of NASA, but this faint image was taken in 1972 during the Apollo 17's flight to the moon. NASA originally listed the image as blank, but after it was touched up, there was a clear formation of a pyramidal structure. NASA to this day hasn't provided an explanation.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that is really cool. Yeah, but again, what can you believe?
Right.
It's all cover stories.
All right.
That was really cool, that last one.
Oh, this one here? Oh, yeah, I know this one. Okay, let me read the caption and then... I guess go ahead. Explain it to us instead.
Well, Freddie Jackson, he was the... this is aboard a ship, and I don't remember the details of the ship, but basically this is this one crew member, Freddie Jackson, was killed like a couple days prior in an accident.
All right, we're going to try to bring Brent Thomas back on. Sorry about that. My audio card failed, and that's the way the news goes. So let's see if we can get this going back. Hopefully, we're still continuing the same stream. That would be great if YouTube allowed us the time to do that, but I don't think so. I think...
I can hear you.
All right, excellent. We are still on air. And we're still continuing the same stream. Yes, we are. Okay, awesome.
On YouTube anyway, but the one on your Facebook has started a new one.
Yeah,
so
Facebook does that, but I don't care about Facebook one. I just care about the YouTube one.
Okay.
So let's continue with this one, please, Brent.
Let me see if I can.
God, that was a smooth recover. I got to give myself props for that, ladies and gentlemen. All right, go ahead.
Good job, baby.
I can only see me, but were we still talking about Freddie Jackson or what's going on?
Yeah. Let me put that back on there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So essentially it was just
we cut you off before it even started. So start from the beginning, please.
Oh, okay. So this is during the World War II era or World War One. I don't remember which, but Freddie Jackson was a crew member on this ship that all of these crew members are depicted in. But he died like 2 days prior in an accident below deck. I think there was some kind of explosion, and he died, and everybody was all broken up about it. But the crew gathered 2 days later for this photo. Just to commemorate their service and whatever have you. And upon reviewing the photo, they notice that behind this gentleman that's depicted in the circle, they can see the image of a man behind it. And as they looked, they realized that that was this crew member who had died, that he appeared in that group photo. And an amazing story. There's no reason that anybody would have faked this, but as far as I can tell, but an incredible story that he was still there, he was still lingering, and was a part of the group photo.
Interesting. Right? So that's all the creepy photos. Are there any creepy photos that you can think of off the top of your head, Brent?
Boy, I don't know. The thing is with photos, it's really hard to really drill it down and to make sure. And it's hard to make any solid judgment calls because all we have is anecdotal evidence that's given to us in these presentations that people offer, whether it's their YouTube videos or their web pages or whatever. And they, there's no way again to revisit what I was talking about earlier. I don't stand behind many of them or any of them because I can't prove any of them, and so it's kind of you don't want to be the guy to go, "Oh, that's real," and then have it come out it's not real, because somebody may pull the rug out from under you. So I mean, I just don't know. I find a lot of them really interesting. I'm trying to think if there's any that really stick out. There's one that comes out of an estate in England where the duke or the lord that lived in the estate had passed away. He was an elderly man, but they did a photo shoot for a magazine of that estate, and his ghost can be seen sitting in his old favorite chair in there. But again, I don't remember the name or the specifics about it. I find those historical photos really, really cool. Oh, there is an old one also of these people that are on this mountaintop. And
well, before you get into that one, here's one on the screen right here for you.
Oh, okay.
This looks like Freddy Krueger.
I was just thinking the same thing. It's like, oh, Jesus. That's creepy. You want that guy hanging out by your kids?
It looks kind of Photoshop, though, because you can see it's blurry here, it's blurry here, it's blurry here, but here you have a nice, clean-looking background.
Yeah, and the children are more blurred than that guy is, so I would think that this is a composite. Somebody probably threw this together.
It might be.
Yeah, so I wouldn't give that one a whole lot of credibility.
Okay, tell us about the other one real quick, and then we'll get to the EVPs.
There's one, and I don't know. I'll have to look for it at some point when we're in the middle of something. But it's this couple is up on a mountaintop, or they're on a some kind of a hiking journey, and it's a black and white photo, but there's a picture of them together. But in the background, in this bush, and it's not just matrixing, it's not just pareidolia, where our brains have a tendency to want to create faces in a lot of disparate shapes and stuff, but it's clearly like a howling banshee kind of woman in this image, and if it's legitimate, it's one of the creepiest things I've ever seen. But I'll have to look for it and see if I can send it to you to display on the screen.
Banshee photo. I'm Googling it now to see if I can get it off.
Okay.
The top of or off the cuff, I should say, but no, I don't see anything for Banshee photo.
I'm going to Google search it as well to see. I'll just do a ghost photo search and see if I can find it quick, but we can still keep talking. I'll just keep browsing for this.
Let's go to Mrs. Geo. Mrs. Geo, what do you think?
I have never really been into the creepy photos because it keeps me up at night. Oh, because I keep seeing it in my mind and wondering where did that come from? What is that, and what could cause something like that?
There is something to it. Now, in my ayahuasca journeys, I've realized we're in a matrix. There's programs, interdimensional beings are programs, so on and so forth. But then, photos like this make you wonder if maybe there's a little bit more to it, or maybe it's these programs manifesting themselves, or maybe it's disembodied spirits, disembodied consciousness that is communicating beyond the veil.
Maybe
it's possible.
Somebody
Wow.
asked us if we'd ever seen an actual spirit or a ghost.
Not
up front.
Not with these eyes.
No, me either.
No.
I've never actually seen one.
But we have felt quite a bit of disturbances. As we've said before, here in this house, there's some spirit, or there used to be some spirit until we went to Egypt. When we came back from Egypt, it left. But
from
people
the time
would
we
feel
moved
it.
in.
People would feel it. Oh, when we moved in, Cherie freaked out.
Oh yeah.
She would not come into this house.
I wouldn't even come in
until it was properly cleared by Jeffrey Seelman.
Well, and by properly cleared, we mean like it was to the point where it wasn't so bad that I felt like it was going to actually harm us. Because it was still there even after he did the clearing, but I think he communicated with it or something to get it to calm down enough that we could move in safely. And because there was definitely a malevolence to him, and it was a male spirit for sure. Like I knew it was a male spirit, and everyone that's experienced his presence has said, "Oh yeah, it's definitely a male," and it's always been women who have been the most freaked out by it.
That's true.
Yeah,
you, the housekeeper, my sister, yeah, and the new housekeeper too.
Yeah, all four of us.
Yeah,
And
the first house, didn't Karen say the same thing?
Yeah, Karen said the same thing too. So five women. Yeah,
5 women.
And one of the housekeepers said that she was mopping the floor, and then she felt something brush by her and touch her hair, and not like pull on it or anything, but like brush her hair, like they're just feeling like how a man wants to feel your hair.
Okay, I fell asleep on the couch, and I sleep on the couch a lot. It's a security thing for me. I just feel like I need to be able to watch the basement door, the back door, and the front door. And the problem is our bedroom's way up in the second story, and I don't like to be that far out.
It's so far away from the front door.
And if anything happens, I can always be right there to protect Cherie to keep anything from coming upstairs. So this thing I've woken up and it's yelled in my ear before. But didn't you ask me the other day if I came into the bedroom and rubbed your shoulder?
Yes. I felt like it was Chris. Like I was sleeping, and then I just knew that Chris was behind me, and he was spooning me, like he was hugging me from behind. And he rarely does that. I mean, he does that, but usually he like wakes me up when he's doing it. And so I just thought, oh, that's nice. And then I woke up and I turned around, and whoever it was gone.
Oh.
And I was like, okay.
And I was downstairs the entire night.
He was downstairs the entire time.
I didn't go up there.
And didn't even go up there.
With her neck and all of that, it hurts her when I'm moving around and when I'm trying to snuggle her, and, stuff like that. So that's another reason I kind of like to give her enough space. But
I can't stay in the same position for very long.
She wiggles.
I have to wiggle, or I'll wake up hurting a lot worse. And so I'm constantly shifting my position in bed. And so I didn't think that it was him. But I was like, okay, well, who else could it be? And so I was like, that was really nice how you snuggled me last night. And he's like, what are you talking about? And then I was like, oh.
Rohinger Strum said maybe he was
creepy.
out of body snuggling with you.
That's what I thought. That's what I figured.
That's a much sweeter thought.
That's a much sweeter thought than thinking that some disembodied spirit
filling up my wife in the middle of the night.
Filling up your wife.
But I'll tell you this for sure, ladies and gentlemen: the next house we move into will have a master bedroom downstairs, because I can't deal with this master bedroom upstairs crap.
Yeah, that it's
no.
And so many stairs isn't working for me either, because it's hard for me to do laundry and take things up and down the stairs. 2 flights of stairs is a lot when you're doing laundry. So yeah, we're gonna get a 1-story.
Yes,
with a basement.
Did you find that link, Brent?
No, I'm still looking. I don't.
Don't worry about it. Let's move on to EVPs. Now, you sent me a really, really, really creepy one. And I'm wondering, do we want to start out with that one, or do we want to leave that one for last?
I think leave it for last. It's one that I've listened to hundreds of times, and it still creeps me the hell out. So it's just that powerful. But yeah,
okay,
it's amazing.
It is pretty freaking intense. Like when you sent it to me, I was like, oh, it's just another EVP. But no, this is something different here.
Yeah, that's all kinds of wrong.
So, electronic voice phenomenon. Explain it one more time for people that are just joining us.
So the idea is that spirits may be communicating with us at all the time, but their ability to make sound is outside of our audible range for our ears to pick up in a lot of cases. Now there is a phenomenon known as disembodied voices, and that's when people can hear spirit voices or sounds without any external equipment. It's manifested in a way that they can catch it with their ears. But it's believed that requires an awful lot of energy, and it's easier for spirits to just talk within their normal range, but we can't hear it. But the idea is that the electronic equipment, the sensitivity of the microphones, can still pick this up and then replay it in through the speaker and make it audible to us. And it could be a fact that spirits may be energetic, and microphones of course have magnets and magnetic properties to them, and so they can manipulate it easier that way. But whatever the mechanics of it, there's a lot of speculation, but it's just the microphone can pick up a much wider range than our ears can hear.
Have you heard of this EVP, Sheree?
I've heard of it, but I haven't had the chance to really listen to any of it. I mean, the one that I listened to before y'all got on the air, that was creepy enough. I mean, that kind of sounded like whenever I had a kidney stone a few years back.
The most interesting ones are when the people are talking and the spirit or EVP says something in relation to what the people are talking.
Right. So
about.
It's obvious that something is actually communicating.
Yeah.
Right.
But you also have to ask yourself too, with all the different electromagnetic frequencies that we're constantly bombarded with, cell phones and Gwen towers and all of that, could these microphones be picking up some kind of signal, like a Wi-Fi signal? There was, I'm getting the creeps just thinking about this, but there was a story I heard about a baby monitor that was picking up some very creepy voices.
Ooh.
And the baby was waking up in the middle of the night, scared out of its mind. And the parents couldn't figure out what was going on. And they heard this voice taunting the baby, just making scary noises, telling the baby was going to kill it, all kinds of stuff.
I'm going to kill your mommy
like
and daddy.
Yeah. Did you hear about this, Brent?
No, this one's news to me.
Yeah.
But
it turns out it was a hacker.
Mm-hmm.
That had hacked the Wi-Fi signal on the baby monitor.
Who would do something like that? I mean, you have to be very evil, like evil-minded to want to scare a baby like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's horrible.
Yeah, that's even worse than if it was a spirit, because you can understand a spirit being a tortured soul, but if person's doing it for kicks, they got all kinds of freaking issues. Oh, yeah. No, I hadn't heard of that, but I guess it doesn't surprise me. I mean, the one thing with baby monitors is that they're essentially just walkie-talkies that are always either broadcasting, and the other one is always listening. So, I used to have a baby monitor with my first child, and I could listen to the neighbor on her wireless phone. I couldn't hear what she was hearing, but I could hear her whole conversation. So the fact that there's competing frequencies around doesn't surprise me a whole lot.
I've got a video here. I'm hesitant to play it.
Yeah, you don't want to get copyright.
Yeah, but I'm trying to see if there's a better source for it. But it's the story. It hit mainstream news, but that is pretty creepy that they would mess with babies like that.
It is.
You don't mess with the babies. That's like the one thing. It's like, leave the babies alone. You can mess with other people, but not the babies.
Yeah, that's an innocent baby that, he didn't do anything to anybody ever.
Right. Yeah. They're just gentle and pure and innocent. They have, they're not corrupt in any way. And then for somebody to get kicks out of making that cry,
Yeah,
like,
that's a really sick person.
Oh, it's always out of Texas too. Before I hacked a stranger's smartphone, I asked for a smart house. I asked for permission. An anonymous creep who hacked a Texas family's baby monitor was not as polite. ABC News reports that a Houston couple heard an unfamiliar voice talking to their sleeping 2-year-old daughter on Saturday night and realized that a stranger had taken control of their camera-enabled monitor, and he wasn't a very nice stranger. Mark Gilbert was doing the dishes after his birthday dinner, and he heard strange noises coming from his daughter's, Alyssa's room while she was sleeping. Right away, I knew something was wrong. As he and his wife got closer to the room, they heard the voice of this daughter. They heard the voice calling his daughter an effing moron and telling her, "Wake up, you little slut." So not the best birthday. Luckily, his daughter is deaf and her implants were turned off. So the hacker turned his vitriol on the parents. The hacker then began shouting expletives at her parents and calling Gilbert a stupid moron and his wife a bitch. At this point, I ran over and disconnected it and tried to figure out what had happened. Couldn't see the guy. All you could do was hear his voice, and he was controlling not only the audio, but the camera as well.
Oh, that's creepy.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing with, introducing technology into your home. It's, the idea is, of course, to make your life easier, but you're also giving somebody an opportunity to just be all kinds of creepy.
We have security cameras, but we turn them off when we're here because of that very reason right there.
Right.
We unplug them. And then when we leave the house, we plug them back in and we can monitor everything on our smartphone. And then, we unplug them as soon as we get home.
Yeah.
And it's good. The way ours is set up is that it automatically records audio and video as it's moving. So it's even better for us to turn it off because it'll keep on recording and keep on recording and keep on recording and take up all the recording space. So it's kind of an additional reminder to turn them off. I sent you a video a while back of some kind of weird noise that we picked up while we were out of town. I don't know if you still happen to have that video or not, but I don't know where it is.
I know I do. It's probably here on my laptop. Hold on.
All right. Yeah. We've never covered this before on Beyond the Veil, ladies and gentlemen. We did cover the strange flash of light that we picked up. It seemed like extraterrestrial flash of light type of deal that we picked up on the camera while we were in Egypt. And when you change the frequency of the hue and the light and all this, you could see what looks like
something weird,
a gray alien.
Yeah, it looks like a gray.
Yeah, we posted it on YouTube and people freaked out for some reason. I don't know why. So we never covered it again. I think we covered it one other time on a show, but it was very interesting nonetheless. But this one here, if Brent can find it, I don't know. It's been a while. I don't even have a copy of it anymore. But Brent covered it on his show.
Yeah, it was really a cool sound, and it sounded like something was being thrown down your stairs inside the house.
Yeah.
Is sound to
and
me.
it was loud. It wasn't just like a tap, because we hear taps all the time on the camera, but this was a boom, large crash, and there was nothing disturbed in the house, which was even weirder. Now, it's possible that it was snow that had fallen from the roof down to the ground. What do you think about that possibility?
What do you think, Brent?
I think that, since the camera was right next to the blinds, that if a snow pile had fallen down, you would have seen that light interruption coming through those blinds, but that wasn't the case. There was no flickering of the light at all.
That's
a good point.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
And not only that, the flash of light happened right at around within a half a second of the Big Bang sound. And so that to me means it was
No. There was no flash of light during the Big Bang sound.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought there was
No, the flashes of light were in the middle of the night. These are two different videos.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'm still looking here now.
It's okay. It's not that big of a deal.
Oh, it is to me.
This is Paranormal Portal.
Yeah,
this is paranormal.
This is my wheelhouse. It's also a paranormal file system on my computer, so it doesn't always make sense the way I put things, and then I'm going, where the hell did I put it? But yeah, it's a great video, and it's there's nothing to indicate what happened, but the sound is wooden to me. It has a wood tone to it, and that's the big thing that I can't believe it's snow either. It sounds like wood. Something wood is being thrown down your stairs, and you can hear the point it was released, and then you can hear the point where it crashes.
Okay, so here's what we'll do. We'll take a quick break because I'm going to find that UFO video too. And hopefully in the next 2 minutes, Brent can find that video and we'll play them both. And then I promise we will get into the EVPs. Like we always play on the topic of the show, then it always goes into a million different directions. But that's the best way.
That's the nature of a live show, though.
You know what? I had some creepy break stuff that I did here, but I think I might have deleted them. It was specifically for Halloween, but it would go perfect. Here it is, Halloween. All right, hopefully we're not going to get copyright strikes on this. I don't remember what I did, but all right, check it out. We'll be right back.
I have been having paranormal experiences for a while now. Odd noises, things moving places, the bed moving while sleeping.
Don't mean you have to like it.
There is nothing to worry about. You're gonna be just fine. I'm your #1 fan.
She just goes a little mad sometimes.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Hello?
Have you checked the children?
Where's the baby? Where's the baby?
How do you know my name? I didn't tell you my name.
Hang up.
I didn't tell him my name.
You're all a part of it. They're all parts, all of them.
I'm afraid!
Don't be afraid!
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
It has from the very beginning. Don't give it any help. It knows too much already.
In God's name are you talking about?
Your son, Mr. Thorne. The son of the devil.
You're insane.
He must die, Mr. Thorne!
Waiting. Now clear your minds. It knows what scares you. It has from the very beginning.
Death has come to your little town, Sheriff. You can either ignore it or you can help me to stop it.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
I'm not even going to swat that fly. I hope they are watching. They'll see. They'll see and they'll know and they'll say, why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
That was very paranormal. That was very paranormal portal-esque, I think.
That was very cool. Yeah. That was really.
I'll send it to you so you can use it on your show.
Oh, excellent! Yeah, I need more material.
Did you find that?
No, but I'm still.
Okay, it's okay. I've got this one here. This is the UFO video here that I was talking about earlier. So, not UFO video, but rather this was the video that we picked up while we were in Egypt. Weird flash of light. And it was, you'll see. So while we were out of town, this security footage kind of picked up this weird flash of light. Here it is right here.
Yeah.
Weirdness.
Right. It just illuminates the whole inside.
Yep. So we examined the footage. We zoomed in a little bit. I zoomed all around the footage first before I found this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, it's got to be a shadow. It's got to be something like that. So let's play around with it a little more. Let's invert it. Let's do some, just adjusting, just trying to come up with a reasonable explanation as to why we're seeing this. Now, the wall is a wood and it has natural black spots on it because of the type of wood that it is. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It was very close to some of the black spots that are in the wood, but you can see as we start to mess with it even more and more, it starts to create a picture. Now, what you're seeing is a slow motion as the light is flashing and turning off. So
that's amazing.
It's weird, nonetheless. I mean, at the very least, it's weird, but I still have in my mind, well, it's probably just the shadows from the walls. It's got to be, or the dark spots. You know the dark spots on the wood. Like, see this right here? That's a dark spot of the wood. That's a dark spot of the wood.
Sure, yeah, the knots or whatever in the
yeah.
But still, the way that form kind of emerges there and then fades out again, it's really really bizarre. Yeah,
that's it right here.
Yep.
I mean, that's a head shape. That's two eyes. That's not the darkness of the wood. That's the darkness of the wood. That's the darkness of the wood.
Right.
This right here, I don't know what that is. I think that might be darkness
the bottom
of the wood.
That's the bottom of the TV.
This is the bottom of the TV? Okay.
I think so.
Maybe. See, that's darkness in the wood. That's darkness in the wood.
Or it's the plug.
Yeah.
The TV
plug. But this right here, you can see.
Yeah, there is definitely something there. And
that's so creepy.
I even asked Chris, I was like, did you do that? And he said, no, I did not do anything to this footage. And I was like, please tell me the truth. Did you do anything to this footage? Because this is really creeping me out now, because we've had experiences in this house with flashing lights and seeing grays.
It's your people. It's your peeps.
Your peeps.
It's your peeps coming with your child.
And no, he's not
serious.
lying. This,
I know what he's referring to.
This is 100% real, and because it's 100% real, it freaked me out. Like, now I'm thinking, okay, so all of our experiences we have to look at a lot more legitimately now. It's not just, okay, bad dreams, or, okay, you've been drinking too much ayahuasca, or anything like that. It's, this is really some serious stuff.
It really is. Yeah. I'll have to dig for that, Chris. I'm not sure. I know I still have it in my email when you sent it to me. So I'll dig it up eventually here.
Okay, no worries.
Uh-oh.
So,
what the hell?
Can you hear me? 1, 2, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. We keep having these little glitches tonight. The glitch gremlin is in full force tonight. Let's see if we can get Brent Thomas back on. I think it might have been his internet that cut out. I don't know. We'll see. George Cavasla says this is confirmation from the AI that it's watching, that it's listening, that it's aware of what we're doing. But I don't know. I think it's more technical glitches than anything.
It's the internet in my neck of the woods is pretty sketchy. In fact, I have I have the fastest internet I can have. But unfortunately, I think they just repurposed old telegraph lines up here.
We have 100 down and 100 up, and we are hardwired into the computer. There should be no reason why we have dropouts whatsoever. But yeah. If a tree moves the wrong way here, we lose power. So,
yeah, that's just the curse of this northern living.
Yeah. We went to this Mexican restaurant one time and had a lot of gas, and boom, just took out the whole neighborhood. Electricity. All right, let's get to the EVPs now, ladies and gentlemen. So, the first one that we're going to play here, don't go into the basement. During a 2011 investigation, the Cafe Sport in Swinton, Greater Manchester Project Reveal recorded an EVP that sounded like it was beckoning them to come down to the basement. That's already creepy enough, but according to their group skeptic, he was standing next to the recorder and didn't hear anything while they were recording. So, let's play this one here. Oh, that's great. I'm not going to get any audio now.
I think it comes in after all their dialogue on the printed stuff when I was watching it before we came on.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, yeah, it does. Okay. All right, so here we go. I don't know what I think about that one. Let's play it one more time. I'm the one down here.
Yeah, it's all breathy and stuff. And here's the problem with claims like that is that there's no video evidence to show what was going on during that time that would correlate that nobody was whispering, into the microphone. So it's just an audio file in and of itself. It's their claim of evidence, but without corroborating factors, you really can't draw any conclusions, even theoretically. It's just either you believe it or you don't.
That's true. All right, so this one, Pasadena. Well, let me ask Sheree. Sheree, what do you think about that one? Not too impressive.
It's not that impressive, but the fact that he's like, oh, I'm the one down here. If that happened here, I would totally believe that it was that spirit that lives downstairs. But yeah, that.
So this next one, Pasadena, California's Colorado Street Bridge, is also effectively known as the Suicide Bridge, thanks to the hundreds of people who have killed themselves by jumping off over the years. It's also a hotspot for paranormal activity. While Mace Ravenwolf and his friends were investigating the bridge in 2014, they ran across something much creepier than what they were expecting. So, another EVP here. Let's play this.
All right, so we're going to try a spirit box session. We got an external speaker this time, and before we came out here, we actually went to the library to check out some of the names of people that jumped off. For a lot of reasons, the police did not release some of these names for family's sake, for intensive purposes. At the time they jumped, they were still investigating because suicide is considered a murder. And so when you do that, it's considered a homicide, and the investigations and stuff like that that take place, they don't release the names until they get the next of kin. And with about, 100-something people that jumped off this thing, we don't have 100 names to call off. But we do have some of the more prolific ones, which are like the lady that threw her kid off the bridge.
That's Myrtle Ward.
Myrtle, yeah.
She's 22 years old, died May 1st in 1937. She jumped because she lost her job and she didn't want her child to grow up during the Great Depression.
See, isn't that amazing?
She loved her daughter so much that she didn't want her to live in that world at this time. So, I mean, we can question it, but, these are things that, unfortunately...
With the state of mind that these people were in, it's hard for us to rationalize what they did. So we're going to turn this on now. All right. If there are any spirits up here with us that would like to communicate with us right now, would you please tell us your name?
Andrew? Okay, Andrew, we can hear you, okay? We can hear you.
Is there anybody else up here with us?
Tiffany? Is that Tiffany? I heard that, loud and clear.
That's kind of creepy.
Yeah, the spirit box stuff is a
If there are any spirits here with us that'd like to communicate, please tell us your names. Let us know you're here.
You're hearing all this, right? Oh, I feel something coming right now. This is crazy.
It's a nice shot. Let's go back and play that one more time.
You're hearing all this, right? Oh, I feel something coming right now. This is crazy.
The only thing is, the name Tiffany was I don't think anybody named their child Tiffany back in the Great Depression era.
Oh.
And so that's one thing to look at is, maybe this isn't, the same spirits that they were talking about at the beginning of the video that they were trying to contact. It's somebody completely different that showed up when they started doing the spirit box. And then as the spirit box kept attracting more and more of these spirits, then it actually started to have interdimensional activity as well, because it was like attracting demonic spirits as well. At least that's what I think.
I'm going to keep going. These are photos that they took on the bridge. We used to investigate a few places in Dallas, and unfortunately...
Yeah, it's right here. Okay, so I have goosebumps already forming right here.
Me too.
So which means there is a presence near us right now.
Okay, this is you.
Moving around.
This is you. This is you. That's a blue light thing in front of it.
Okay, so I gotta move the blue light away from it.
Yeah, but watch this. There's you again. What the fuck is that?
Oh, that's definitely.
So I don't know how I feel about the spirit boxes. Brent, your thoughts?
My verdict is still kind of out on it. I know several people that use them and swear by them, but having not ever owned one myself and never played around or experimented with it, it's kind of hard for me. I listen to some of these translations and I'm like, oh, really? You heard Tiffany? When I heard, it's like, how'd you get Tiffany out of that? So I think, to me, sometimes it seems like a stretch, and I'm not saying it's not. There's nothing to it, because I have a guest on just recently. His name is Dan Pruitt. He's a great investigator, and he uses them. And he says, he's got some really compelling things, and he's noticed voices that stay the same through several frequency sweeps, and meaning that it'll be like an entire sentence. Oh, and what you're hearing basically is these digital radios that are tuned to continually scan, always scan, and you just hear the blips of the stations coming in and going out as it's scanning. So it's scanning the entire dial, and that's what you're hearing. That is a different.
Oh, so it's coming from the radio,
right? But the idea is that the spirits can use that in order to put together cohesive sentences and words and stuff. So what Dan says, and I believe him, I believe that what he's telling me is legitimate, is that he has heard voices, like a male voice, come in and stay, for like 3 to 5 seconds, when it would have swept through, 4 to 8 stations per second. It shouldn't be possible that you have the same voice appearing for that far of a sweep. So perhaps there is something to it. I haven't experienced it myself, so it's kind of one of those things that I'm kind of uncertain about.
Good point. Good point. And just to let you know, Brent, I know it's getting kind of late, so if you need to take off, let us know, and we'll jump to the last one. But I still have a few more to go over. So,
oh no, I'm in no rush, man.
Okay,
I'm
awesome.
Loving the time.
Awesome. All right, this one here, a little creepier. This one's called the Carol Ann doll. Are you familiar with this one?
Just in what I reviewed when you sent the link to me prior to the show, I had not heard of this prior to this, but I think it's pretty bizarre.
As you may have guessed from the title, Carol Ann is a haunted doll who speaks to people via EVP. The gang at Live Sci-Fi decided to have a chat with her. If you haven't already guessed that things get weird immediately with this doll, then now is your warning. Also, the video is NSFW. I don't know what NSFW means. So put those headphones on. NSFW. I don't know. Not suitable for...
Yeah. Not suitable for...
Not suitable for women? I mean, that's what it says.
We'll go with that.
All right. All right. I wonder if the twins will make an appearance in this video too. Oh, that's a creepy doll. Oh, that's just creepy just looking at it. I don't know if I could play this. We're going to, though.
Cleanse the Ouija board.
Oh. I keep forgetting the number 7 is my camera changer, and it fast forwards the video, so my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. You remember that creepy doll, Cherie, that was in the Airbnb in Egypt?
I think we still have a picture of that here somewhere.
Yeah, there was this, Brent, there was this doll.
I think we sent it to Brent.
I don't know if we did. I don't think we ever did. But we were in this Airbnb and they told us not to go into this one particular room. And we're like, well, obviously,
of course, we're going to go in that room.
We're going to go into that room. We open it up and there's a few other things, but there's this creepy ass doll.
I'm going to try to find that. I'm going to try to find that picture.
Okay. So let's.
So while you guys are doing this,
let's play this EVP here. I'll stop interrupting.
Whoa. Did you hear that? What the fuck?
Having that physical contact with living beings.
Yes.
How old are you? Can you please tell me how old you are? Are you
17.
Show your image. Tell me how old you are. Are you
17.
Show your image.
I'm gonna fuck you up or something. Pain.
Zozo exists. Are you otherwise known as Zozo? Do you have something to do? Do you have something to do?
Do you want me to cleanse the Ouija board? It's like we're in like a different like spectral.
Holy crap.
Yeah, that's creepy.
All right, that one. That last part was creepy.
Yeah, that is creepy.
No doubt about that. I'm going to download this picture from Cherie real quick, and I'm going to put it up on the screen here. This is the doll that we were talking about in Egypt.
Yeah. They said, don't go in that room.
Yeah, they said, don't go in that room.
And we did anyway.
I can only see myself, so I'm not sure what you're showing.
Oh, all right.
We'll send it to him as well.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm going to put it up on the screen here.
Yeah. And it's just sitting there.
That has a little bit of a vibe to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Huh.
I'm trying to zoom in on it. Right.
So what did they elaborate about this room at all?
No, they just said don't go into that room.
So that must be some kind of child spirit in there or something, huh?
What do you guys and gals think about that in the chat room? Let us know. Let us know in the comments too. But yeah, and look, it's almost like it's covered up too.
Yeah. Like
we didn't touch anything when we were in there. We were like, hell no, we're getting the hell out of here.
I'm noping the hell out of there. That's amazing. Yeah, that's creepy.
Mrs. Gio?
I did not like that doll. After about 5 seconds, I was like, I'm getting out of here. I'm not going back in that room. And,
so did you pick up that whatever was emanating in that room was from that doll, or just the room in general?
It was, well, I felt like something had happened to a child in that room.
See, that's what I got too. That's why, it felt like that room was off limits because they lost a child or something, and that was like their sacred room for the child or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And curtains, whatever the hell was laying there covering the doll. But yeah, that's what instantly came to me. And I don't claim to be a psychic, but I do.
Somebody pointed out, Orochimaru said, the doll looks like it has real human hair.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that would definitely be a soul tie then as well.
Yeah.
And about cultures, perhaps that's part of the way of memorializing. I know in Victorian times, saving hair was really a part of mourning. They save a lock of your child's hair if your child passed, and carry it with you. So perhaps there's something to that.
Well, somebody said it's probably their kid's room. They're basically saying there's no reason to freak out about that because it's probably the room for the tour guide's daughter. I don't think so.
There
because
were no tour guides.
There was no tour guide. It was the person that owned the Airbnb.
They owned the whole building.
They owned the whole building, and the lady that was, I guess she was getting paid for it, was in a completely different country. And then there was a guy that kept it up and would actually meet with the people that were renting the rooms out, and he was a very stern looking Muslim man, and so he didn't seem like he even had any kids, especially kids living in that apartment. So it was weird. It was just really weird.
Economan asked a really good question, and I want to chime in on this real quick. The AI recycles people. Why would there be ghosts? This is a thought that I had the other day. We had that caller call in and say she was a medium and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you made a really interesting point, Cherie, that right now the population of planet Earth is the population of every human being, close to it anyways, in history, all put together at the exact same time, living at the exact same time. So it led us to the conclusion that the AI is recycling people so fast and pushing them back into the game that much quicker. But it's possible that these spirits are either, number one, echoes of events that happened, or when they're communicating back and forth, in this case, they might be stuck in between dimensions between the recycling point, or they could just be programs, demons, whatever you want to call them, operating in the background. So I don't know what to think about that, but it's something that I have to ponder. Your thoughts, Brent?
Well, there's two types of hauntings essentially. There's a residual haunt and there's an intelligent haunt. Now, a residual haunt takes into consideration the stone tape theory, which is a theory in parapsychology that objects, places, physical things can record energetic impressions. And they will, every once in a while, for whatever reason, whatever the trigger is, will regurgitate that event. And that can be in the form of manifesting the people that were present. It can be in the form of manifesting scents, sounds, or something of that nature. Now, the biggest difference between an intelligent and a residual haunt is that residual hauntings would be like the typical There's an old woman that appears in, this bedroom, stands and stares out the window and then disappears. So there's no interaction with the people around it. It doesn't show any intelligence or recognition that there's anyone else there. It's just a repeated event, that this keeps happening. And so it's like a tape recording that plays and plays and plays for some reason. A lot of times that can be imprints from emotional events, and that can be good emotion, bad emotion, sad, whatever, can make those imprints. And there's not always a rhyme or reason why. Sometimes it could be, these pacing feet, that you hear these footsteps in this one place in your house, pacing back and forth and back and forth. Now, during somebody's lifetime, there could have been a real emotional event where they were really stressed out and pacing back and forth and thinking, and somehow that activity was recorded into the room around them and will repeat every once in a while. An intelligent haunt is where the being or the entity or whatever it is will interact and target people. And it can be good or bad. It doesn't always have to be a negative. Hauntings aren't always negative events, but it will, like you just drink a cup, you put it down on the table and boom, it flies off the table. Well, that's an interaction with you. And it was, that cup being set down, it decided to move it because it wants to make a presence known. In Cherie, at the beginning of the show, you kind of alluded to the fact that, things can be recorded. And that's exactly what a residual haunt is. And you were absolutely right about that. What could they be? They could be not human entities at all. Take, for instance, child spirits. I'm not a big believer in child spirits, and whatever you believe in, in your religious sense or your spiritual sense. For me, a child is the most beautiful, innocent, precious thing. And they are not corrupt. They are not skewed. And so the idea that somehow a child dies and something didn't bring that child home, to me is like, I don't know, it's like contrary to everything good. Why would a child be left to be lost? If there's anything good in the universe, a child would not be left to be lost. It's just, it's an abomination to me. But what we hear over and over and over in paranormal circles is lots of stories that start out with, we found out we have a little girl haunting our attic. Oh, isn't that sweet? And so they start, buying gifts for the little girl because they start engaging it. Now, what ends up happening is when you think of in terms of dark entities, they allegedly prey on people and they allegedly prey on our life force, on our energy, on whatever. Now, for us to become susceptible to them, we have to open ourselves. And this is going to be kind of a long explanation, so I hope you got a little time. But a lot of times these things will open us up through repeated exposure to fearful events. And what fear is it's a surrender. When you become afraid, you are surrendering your energy, your integrity, and you are basically allowing something to have power over you. So something moves, you freak out and start, you don't know what to do. You've lost control, and something else will exert its control over and over and over. And that's how attachments happen, and that's how possessions happen. And another way is if a person is normal, whenever we hear or see a child that is in need, as decent, normal people, we want to help. We open ourselves instantly to these little children. So you find out you have a little child that's hanging out in your house. Well, it's devastating to think that this little child spirit is all by itself. So we open ourselves up. We help it. We buy it gifts. We encourage it to be a part of us and to, take shelter within our love and within our homes. And what you're doing is you're giving something permission. And so it starts out all cute and fuzzy, but it ends up with scratching and furniture moving and, all kinds of problems. Mm-hmm. So it's like a really specific form of predation in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You are the wise one.
You are,
That's what we were saying in the chat.
You are spot on
Somebody
with that.
said, I don't see the comment anymore, but they complimented you, and I said, well, Brent is the dragon. He's the wise one.
Because if yeah, you're right. You're completely right. If a baby, I see children as, I mean, like we said at the beginning of the show, children are the most innocent and pure beings that we see in our day-to-day lives. And so, of course, if we see a little child who is a ghost, we feel sorry for it, we feel pity for it, and we want it to feel safe and loved, and right. and we don't realize that we're giving away our energy to something that may not be what it appears.
Right, exactly. So, and you look at nature. Nature, it demonstrates predation as any predator will find the most efficient means to prey. And what more efficient than to appear like an innocent, harmless thing, and to gain that trust and get people to open up, and boom, all the hard work's done. You've already opened yourself up. And then next thing you know, you're having nightmares, you're in a bad mood, and you don't know what the hell's going on, and you're getting scratched all the time. And, things go downhill from there.
Maga said we had a little girl for years in our house, and then it was messing with my new nephew, so we had to run it off.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, then that's a theme that comes up over and over in paranormal investigating, is that, it starts out with a child spirit and it ends with, exorcisms.
Oh, here was the comment. Brent is an illuminated druid like the Pope.
Oh, like the Pope?
Like the Pope.
I hope you liked the Pope when you said that.
I think he means like you're a Pope of the druids.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's funny because I had a past life reading one time years ago, and the lady said that I was a druid before. So that's very interesting that they would come up now. But,
I could feel the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could be. I don't know. I've thought a lot about that kind of stuff, and I think it would be kind of interesting to explore, but I got to stay more focused on where I am, not where I've been.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jeffrey Seelman, I think you've had him on your show before. You've never had Jeffrey on your show?
Oh, no,
crap, man. All you got to do is just make a phone call. Tell him, hey, I'm friends with Chris.
Yeah.
And now that we moved the paranormal portal earlier, then it should be really convenient. I'll drop you his contact info. He's an awesome guy. So he made it very clear. He's like, look, would you want a total stranger in your house? No. Would you want them watching you all the time, taking a shower, doing all that stuff? No. So why would you let spirits run around in your house too? I thought it was no big deal. I thought, it's okay. We'll share the space. But he raised a really good point. And a lot of these things suck your energy and you don't even realize it, but they're just constantly there to suck your energy. So you got to get rid of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You had told me about the salt situation, and the salt thing really helped to keep this thing at bay. Downstairs for quite some time. So what are some other methods besides salt?
Saging is a big one. And it kind of depends on your paradigm. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, the thing that makes any ritual powerful is you believing in it. I mean, and if you have a Christian background, then use Christian symbology and use that to cleanse your space. But remember, whatever you use, you are the catalyst, and it's your belief in it that makes it powerful. If and I've used this example before, so if you've heard it before, I apologize, but it just seems to sum it up the best for me, is that if you walked around and you held in your hand a piece of cheese and you were confident that this was the holiest piece of cheese and it contained the essence of God itself, and you walked around your house and cleansed your house, it would work because you believe that it's there. So whatever resonates with you is what becomes powerful. Whether it's holy water, whether it's sage and sweetgrass, whether it's meditation, whether it's mantras, whether it's incenses, oils, but there are some substances that seem to work pretty universally. And sage is one of them, sage and sweetgrass. Cedar is another. Jasmine can be a powerful, as well as sea salt. You can use, olive oil on your thresholds and windows to keep things out after you've cleansed. But if you are going to ever sage, just remember you start at one end of the house, and at the other end of the house, leave a window or something open a bit, a crack. And as you're saging, work your way towards that last room where there's that escape, because you want to give them some place to go. And theoretically, a window to us, it seems like a barrier, but it is actually the house has an energy to it. And when a window's open, that energy is open. And when the window is shut, that window is, that energy is shut. So leave some little space open to the outside that you're pushing these things out. But it's all here. It's all here within you. So whatever resonates with you is what will be powerful.
That's really insightful. Frankincense is one of our go-tos too, which is kind of like a nuclear bomb. But we covered the CIA documents that talked about all the spiritual stuff. And in it talked about the magic wand and how the wand is merely a representation for the energy flow. So it doesn't matter. It's got nothing to do with the wand. You can pick anything up, as you just said. It's the intention and the energy that's going through it, but the object merely helps you to visualize it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We are the manifestors, and you guys talk about it on Beyond the Veil all the time. You are the creators. You're the creator beings, and you create your reality. Well, if you create something as being powerful, then it is. And, and not to go all religious, but even Jesus said, it's done unto you as you believe, So bear that in mind.
Nice.
Right.
Ruhinger Strum said, the one time I had paranormal activities, I was playing around with a Ouija board with my friend. The entity was playful at first, saying he used to be a pirate. The session then ended with it asking, the comments continued, I just lost it. Here it is. The session ended with him saying, "Are you afraid? You will be tonight." Later that night, I woke up to my bed trembling. It intensified to the point where my bed was literally shaking.
Oh, no. That's not good.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, and you and I discussed Ouija boards a few times, but here's the problem with Ouija boards. First of all, it's not evil inherently of itself. Nothing is. When you buy a Ouija board or you create a Ouija board, it's about as dangerous as a Homer placemat for your cereal bowl. I mean, really, it's just a design. And so in and of itself, it doesn't have much of anything. But when it's used or misused, and by misused, I mean, you have to understand that when you're using a Ouija board, the problem with them is, and how it's different from like taking EVPs or getting electronic voice phenomenon or whatever. The idea with EVPs is that the spirits can manipulate the object itself and create an imprint for their voice. With something like a Ouija board, you are the channel. So you're basically a blind channel reaching out to whatever might be present. And you're saying, and you're giving a permission for whatever that is to interact through you into this board. And so you are creating a blind channel to things that you don't know. You don't understand what could be there, what isn't there. Maybe nothing's there, and maybe nothing happens. But the other thing is don't ever open a portal you don't know how to close. And, it's not just a matter of just moving the planchette over goodbye. I mean, that's cute and everything. But, if you're putting energy into opening a portal and opening a connection, moving a planchette over goodbye isn't it. You have to put energy into closing it as well. So create some system of steps that you believe is going to close this connection, because Ouija boards could perhaps be portals in and of themselves once they're activated. If they're not properly closed, you may put it under your bed, but it's still churning, So just do your homework, ladies and gentlemen. If you're going to use a Ouija board, you got to set up your space. You've got to cleanse. You've got to sage. You've got to, set up your, things like frankincense is a great example. Things that will cleanse any negative energies away. Set up area of salt if you want around the board and cleanse the area within the circle, whatever you believe. But, definitely just realize that using a Ouija board or things like that, you are the channel, and being a blind channel is not admirable.
Very true. Very true. So I'm only going to cover a few more of these. We've got like 10 more, but I don't want to do all 10. Let's hit this one here. Did you listen to all of these before the show?
I think so. I think I made it all the way through. But
were there any that really stuck out? Because I haven't listened to any of these. I like to be completely surprised with our audience as we're experiencing
I thought the last was probably one of my favorites. The one with the Carol Ann doll. But it's interesting that Carol Ann was the name of the girl on the Poltergeist movie.
That one was pretty creepy.
Yeah. I can read the description for anyone that you want me to.
Okay, so this one. Steve Huff leads a very haunted life. Not only is it his technical job to talk to spirit. Hold on, let me put my little dorky little glasses on. Oh, they're broken. These are the broken ones. Crap.
Yeah, you don't have any that are left that aren't broken.
Let me just focus a little better. All right. Steve Huff leads a very haunted life. Not only is it technically his job to talk to spirits, but it seems like they follow him around on a day-to-day basis. Not only does he catch multiple visual manifestations of something in this EVP session, but he hears multiple voices, the creepiest of which has to be the little girl that asks him to play with her. No thanks. All right, so let's play this one here for the audience out there.
It's 11 p.m. Haven't come out in a while, but I felt a presence in my house earlier and caught an EVP. Just gonna walk from here. Okay, if anybody's here, let me know. Let me know.
Not too convinced
yet.
Yeah,
I'm not too convinced.
But backwards is this play with
and
you.
My dog was acting really funny too. So I decided to come back out here and see if anybody has anything to say. I'm already feeling somebody. But it's 11 p.m., nobody's out here. And as always, if I hear something or someone or anything, I will state it on video. I heard a dog bark in the distance. Some crickets. Anything you want to say to me before I go back in?
I saw nobody.
No, that's a bug.
Yeah, it's a bug.
Can you show yourself for me? Can you show yourself? I know you're here.
Yeah, I still think it's an insect, so we'll keep watching.
Can you show yourself?
Two syllables, and you got to play with me out of that. I don't know.
Well, there's that orb again, though. That is interesting that it's in the house now.
Mm.
Hmm.
You see it?
Yeah.
I saw you. Can you do that again? I saw you on the screen.
Okay, if it does
I
it
don't
again,
see
I'm
you
convinced.
in the room with my eyes. But you can show up on the screen if you fly in front of it. Come towards me. Oh.
Now that's a little creepy.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it's...
If it's not video manipulation, which it very well could be.
Cropped and
slowed down.
The action shot. John Madden with his yellow. Oh, you see, it comes right up here. Sorry.
I can see you on this. You on this. You on this. There you are again. Now there's no bugs in here.
I do hear that play with us.
Yeah,
it
see,
sounds
that,
like a woman's voice.
Yeah, and the problem I have with him being outside before us, and the first EVPs he was claiming was he was moving through the whole thing, walking through doors and stuff. So it's hard to not say that that was ambient noise. But those ones when he's sitting still in the room, those are more convincing. And Steve Huff is really well known in the paranormal field, both good and bad. I mean, there's a lot of people that attack him regularly just because they think he's full of crap, but there's other people that believe very, very much in what he does. So I think there's something to what he does, and he's done a lot with developing a lot of equipment to use for, it's called ITC, Instrumental Transcommunication. So that would include EVPs and spirit boxes and different devices like that.
Your thoughts, Mrs. Gio?
It sounded to me like, and it looked to me like a lot of it was attributing natural phenomena to paranormal. I mean, some of the ones that you were playing from that list were, I mean, I can't explain it. It's creeping me out, and I get that feeling like there's something seriously paranormal going on. But that particular one, I wasn't too terribly impressed with. Even the so-called orb inside of the house could be attributed to dust. Some people have really dirty houses that they don't clean.
Drag a vacuum out, God shakes.
All right, we'll hit a couple of more of these. So,
okay.
While investigating the Sally house in Atchison, Kansas, the live sci-fi crew ran afoul of what they believed to be a demon. Once they listened to these EVP recordings, you might be inclined to agree with them. You might also sleep with the lights on for a few days. So, let's play this one here. Viewer discretion is advised. The following recording was captured at the Sally House basement in April of 2012. The investigators asked, "Do you believe in a God?"
Is this how you show love, by inflicting pain? Is this how you show love, by inflicting pain?
This one's not too convincing.
Can you hear me? Who am I talking to right now?
Okay, I do hear that.
Oh yeah, I heard that one.
Can you hear me? Who am I talking to right now?
I didn't hear Kill Tim there. I heard us.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you talking to? Us.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't get out. That looks like our freaking basement right there, doesn't it?
That does look like our
My
basement.
God.
That's creepy.
I'm scared to take a recorder down there. Not scared in the like fear sense, but just apprehensive about it.
Yeah. Maybe when we move out, we'll have Brent come over with one of those boxes and see if there's anything down there still.
And then we'll come up and do a show. And then
we'll come up and do a show.
We'll do a reveal for the Geos.
Oh, that.
Okay,
Guys,
this one's
out your basement. This is what I caught.
Uh-huh.
This one's only 37 seconds, so cool. We'll cover this one real quick. In this quick EVP session, a few friends were trying to get a ghost to turn on a flashlight while they were looking into a haunting. There's definitely a weird growl on the audio. What do you think? Let's check this out.
You push down the yellow button like that.
Still not as creepy as the one you sent.
When I sent this, horribly creepy. And like I said, I've listened to it so many times and it still gives me the willies.
You did. So we're coming up to the 2-hour mark here, and I was thinking we'll end it at the 2-hour mark. So I guess we'll get into the one that you sent. Do you have any background on it?
Yeah, actually, this is the sound file you're going to hear, ladies and gentlemen, is not mine. It's just one I've discovered years ago online. But the story behind it is, and it was posted by a reputable paranormal investigator. But he was contacted by a family who claimed that nightly they were awoken by horrible screams coming from their basement. Just heart-wrenching screams and horrible sounds, and it was just terrifying them. So he went and did an investigation, and then as he was finishing up that time, he left a voice recorder going down in the basement, and every day he would come and upload the files and review them and stuff, and he left it over a period of several days. And on the first day, he got nothing. And on the second day, it was absolutely quiet, got nothing. But on the third day, the sound you're going to hear was recorded at, I think it was 3:07 a.m. And it's very loud, so be prepared. But it is one of the most anguished / angry sounds I think I've ever heard in my life. But absolutely horrid. But listen at your own discretion. I will say that because you can't unhear it.
You reminded me you gave me an idea actually about taking one of these cameras and leaving it down in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
It's so freaky down there that we have our spotlights from our green screen setup, and we leave them on 24 hours a day down there. That way, if we go downstairs and the light switch happens to not work, the freaking spotlights are still working. Like, this is the basement has been lit for 4.5 years. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah, it's weird.
So, yeah, and Cherie goes down there and does laundry. I don't know how she does it. I wouldn't do it.
Trooper, telling you.
The laundry's got to get done or we're going to stink. It's either that or smell bad.
All right, so let's play the CVP, ladies and gentlemen. Warning, this may disturb you.
You asshole. He's a dick, you guys.
So let's play it one more time.
Is that not one of the most tormented sounds you've ever heard?
That is.
Oh, it just drives me crazy. It's like, oh my God. But I find it equally just as compelling as I do disgusting. It's like, because something created that sound. What did it look like? What would it have looked like? That's what disturbs me. It's like, well, I don't know. That's just hard to wrap your head around.
It makes you wonder, is it picking up something that's here in this dimension? Or is it perhaps there's a portal somewhere that's opening up a dimension to, opening up a door to some kind of lower dimension where there is this type of torment that's taking place? But then again, you think about how pain works, right? And pain is something that's part of the body. Pain doesn't exist in the spirit form. So how can we have a hell-like realm where spirits are being tormented if pain doesn't exist and they don't have pain receptors in order to feel the kind of pain? How can the torment be taking place? Is it a psychological torment at that point for the consciousness? What are your thoughts on that?
Maybe it's emotional. Think of if you ever had your heart broken, and I think everybody has. It hurts. It hurts to the depth of your being. In fact, I've had plenty of physical pains in my life, and I would much prefer going through them, and even some terribly excruciating ones. But I shudder to ever have my heart broken again. It's just some pain is a whole different kind of torment, but it's equally as painful. So perhaps it's emotional, perhaps it's, like you said, psychological, perhaps it's so many different ways.
That's very
like
true.
Losing your child or something like that. Yeah.
And I didn't want to vocalize that, but that's my greatest fear, is to ever have to bury one of my children. It would just be, it would be the most humiliating, horrible, painful things that I could imagine.
Well, I think back to an ayahuasca experience I had where I was speaking with Isis, and I was asking her about the matrix, about the construct, about how things worked. And there was an event that happened that wiped out all of life or consciousness or whatever. And I was watching this event and I heard her wail in a way that I've never heard a wail before. It was this deep wail that comes from way down here that can only be described as a mother losing her child on a massive scale, to where there was destruction of all of this consciousness, and she wailed like something I've never heard before. Now, this happened in the ayahuasca realm. I've never heard this in real life, but I would imagine it's the same type of wail that a mother would have when she loses a child like that, especially right in front of her. And these sounds, these tormented sounds, they sound similar, not quite. This was the sounds that we just heard sound more of an evil kind of energy. This had a more of a sad kind of energy. But it definitely does sound like torment.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, how does that work in this world, or in this dimension, or in the in-between dimensions? I don't know. It's
Right.
very creepy.
It is. It's horrible, but I think it's an amazing capture, and again, I can't verify it either, but it's one of those that I don't know how it would be duplicated, how it would be created, if it was faked, and it could be, like everything else you find, it can be, but if even 1% of what we've shared tonight is real, then how profound is that? If only 1% of everything that we've talked about and shared is true and real, then anything is possible. It's all on the board.
That's very true. And we are at a time now where the veils are thinning, the dimensions are merging with one another, and it's a positive and negative thing happening. And at the same time, I think people are more receptive to the other dimensional entities that have always been here. They've always been around us, but the consciousness has enlivened to the point to where they're recognizing it, and even technology is catching up to that too. The television was created by, I don't remember off the top of my head, Chris Everard covers this.
Yogi Berra or something, like John Yogi Berra.
I think, yeah. I think a guy named John Yogi Berra, not the baseball player, obviously,
Berra.
but a scientist. And it was created initially to be a spirit box to talk to the other side.
Yep.
And that's where the white noise. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
The cathode ray tube. That's where the cathode ray tube came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about the white noise phenomenon?
I think it's possible that is spirits are able to manifest a voice through that, because it's such an indistinct sound. It's like a bass sound, and could they manipulate it to create sound? Sure, I think so, because all things basically boil down to energy. Sound is energy, light is energy, and so it's all frequency and energy. So if a spirit is an energetic being, which I believe they are, then for them to manipulate another energetic field, I don't think would be that hard.
Well, what do you think about white noise phenomenon as far as TV goes? For them to actually appear in an image through the white noise,
visual.
Yeah.
I think it's the same concept. So it's a visual phenomenon. It's already producing light. So all they have to do is to create some kind of order out of that chaos in order to impress an image. Just theoretically bouncing the idea around it doesn't. The one thing that seems really, really prolific in paranormal situations is that they seem to have the ability to alter and affect electronic devices pretty easily. And perhaps that's by virtue of them being electronic and running on energy, that for them to be energetic and manipulate that isn't hard. I'm sure it's much harder to move a coffee cup than it is to create a scene on a television screen.
Very creepy stuff. So Brent, where can people check out Paranormal Portal?
You can check out Paranormal Portal if you go to facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio, or you can check out all of our episodes. You can become a member of TFR, of course, and check out all my episodes there. And you can download MP3 commercial-free versions if you're a member. And you can also check out the video feeds of all of my episodes, because whenever I'm doing the portal, I'm also streaming it live to Facebook or to YouTube, and you can find it at youtube.com/Paranormal Portal.
Excellent. I just typed in Paranormal Portal and your site didn't come up, so I would urge listeners to type in Paranormal Portal Radio, and it pops up right at the beginning. We'll have to do some SEO to fix that problem. But you've had a lot of very interesting guests on. Just recently, you had this really crazy guy who I suspect is on some kind of psychedelic drugs or something. He was live in studio with you the other day.
Whoa. I know he's suffering from altered consciousness.
Yeah. And you do bedtime stories from beyond.
Mm-hmm. So basically that's my, I was just thinking about the Paranormal Portal, and essentially it's 2-hour broadcasts, and that's a pretty big chunk of time. And not everybody has 2 hours to get into it. And I thought, maybe I'll make some more bite-sized versions. And it's basically every night that I'm not doing a 2-hour show, I'm doing the bedtime stories from beyond, where I get on and bring up a concept and tell a few a few quick stories of people's encounters and discuss it quickly. And, they usually run about, 20 minutes to a half hour, but sometimes longer. But it's been really well received, and I'm getting a lot of good feedback from people on those. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, here's that crazy guy.
He's really whacked out, that guy.
I know. He needs Jesus.
It looks like Jesus.
One of the things I like to do is troll my own appearances. Like, this is how not serious I take myself. Like, Kev Baker posted something that was on a show the other day. I was trolling myself in the comment. I'm like, that guy's crazy. That guy's and nutty. People were agreeing with me.
Yeah, he is.
You gotta have fun. You gotta have fun. So, anything you want to leave the audience with, Brent?
Just I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other, and I hope you'll come over and check me out on YouTube and subscribe and like my channel. And just if you have a paranormal story of your own that you'd like to share or hear me share on the show, please email it to me at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to share your experience with our listeners as well.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us this late, Brent. It's 1:30 in the morning now. I'm sure the wife and the little one are probably asking where Daddy is.
Aww.
So thank you for joining us and taking the time out to do this. And ladies and gentlemen, this was totally off the cuff tonight. Like 5 minutes, I was talking to Brent, and I said, you want to do a show? He goes, yeah, let's do it. We just jumped on. That's the way we roll here.
We always roll that way. Every time I've been on your show or you've been on mine, it's been something that we kind of threw together and decided to do.
Those are the best.
They are. They're a lot of fun.
Definitely. A lot of fun tonight.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Absolutely. Love you, brother. Take care.
I love you guys. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. I wanted to give Mrs. Gio the last word here.
Oh, well, you never know there's so many things in this reality that they're unbelievable, and yet they do exist. And then you have to use your discretion, use your intuition, and it will always guide you to the right answers. And just keep an open mind. I have to remind myself to keep an open mind, and I have to remind Chris to keep a closed mind sometimes. Not so open that your brain falls out. But
it's true. It's true.
But keep an open mind for sure, because you never know what may lie just beyond the veil.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. So what did you think about the EVPs?
They freak me out. I think that with all the radiation and everything, I think the lines between the dimensions have been blurred so much that we're picking up on things way more than we used to. Even like back in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, leading up into, the early 2000s. I mean, we never got this much content from other dimensions as we are now. And I really think that a lot of these EVPs are coming from other dimensions, lower dimensions, most likely. I mean, I'm pretty positive that it's all lower dimensional entities, whether they were human at one point and now they're stuck in lower dimensions, or they're demonic, archonic entities that are from lower dimensions. But I think that the lines are getting blurred so much, especially with digital technology, that we're perceiving and seeing and hearing things that we shouldn't necessarily be hearing or seeing or experiencing. So keep safe, you guys, for sure.
Definitely. So we will be returning on Saturday, 9 o'clock Pacific time with Seven Bomar for our regular format. But, it's nice to have fun sometimes on the show instead of just constantly talk about raw consciousness and serious topics. We can get into a few more fun topics with Brent Thomas of Paranormal Portal and much more. So I think we'll do a few more of these mixed shows like this because I have fun doing them. That's what it's all about. It's about having fun. And we'll get to the next activation site sooner than later. Mm-hmm. And, we'll continue on the mission and all of that.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, what's that sound?
Don't scare me again.
Do you Do you feel that?
I don't want him to scare me again,
The
you
fingers
guys.
on the back of your neck. And the things that go grump in the night.
See, now you're going to have to sleep in the bed with me.
Oh, I will. Don't worry.
All right.
Kiss the one you love right now. You never know when the last time is going to be, and we'll see you even further.
Beyond the veil.